boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoDatDaily.com is your site. The WhoDatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. The WhoDatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoDatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, the WhoDatDaily.com is your site. The WhoDatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us.
Ups, fam, how y'all doing? Welcome to another installment of TSC Unleashed Tuesday edition. Big ups to the family members in the chat. Much love to you and yours. Thank y'all for joining me on this edition of TSC Unleashed. Of course, for those who are not familiar with TSC Unleashed, we talk about news items of the day. And we don't have an extended show, usually about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on what day it is. Monday's usually our longest show because we have a lot of content. But in this episode, Tuesdays, always a little smaller, compressed show. Big ups to the rest of the family members in the chat. Kevin McKnight, who that to you? Good to see you, fam. Who that nation for life? Who that to you? Adrian, what's up, Adrian? How you doing, fam? Who that to you? Thank you for joining us. Throat Cutter in the building. What's up, Throat Cutter? Good to see you, fam. Appreciate you. Who that to you, fam? Young City Night Ward, what's going on, fam? Say, don't stop, won't. He says, will not stop. Let's keep it going. Baby, who that? Thank you. Thank you, youngs to you. KB, who that to you? Patrick, what's up? Patrick, big ups to you, fam. Thank you for joining us in the show. Adrian, two Adrians in the building. Good to see Adrian. Thank you for joining us as well. Who that nation for life. Much love to you and yours. Devin C, big ups to you. In this one, family, we're going to recap it. I'm Big Q. Usually Uncle Marty chiming in, but his schedule's been kind of hectic. We'll get him back on the show for tomorrow. He can't make it for the day, but we'll get through this show. About 15, 20 minutes worth of content I want to brief you guys with. And Who That Nation for Life says, please talk about Dan Orlovsky. I'll hammer Orlovsky. I was hammering Orlovsky, and people were sending the links and the shows back to Orlovsky, so much so that he changed his commentating on Drew Brees. He was talking about Drew's noodle arm. He was pushing that hard until he got that show getting it down, and his whole narrative changed like 2 days later. So I mean, we having an impact. Don't make it people believe and think for a second that we are interpreted as new media or small media. Remember, all media operations or platforms started out this way. They started out as small independent operations that grew over time. And that's what they understand. See, massive media understands that the issue with massive media is because they got too close to who they're covering and they became established. They got takeover. They were all gobbled up, and now they only say what their masters tell them to say. Independent media is the future. We got to get behind and promote, like the Pro Media Network and other people's platforms that are doing it and doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying, family? So thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for being with me on that movement to boycott the PFT camp for what they talking about with the New Orleans Saints. The guy was disrespectful, and it's time for us to show these. So please feel free to share that link as well. So I'd like to get into today's show. Big ups to you, Who That for Life, Chris Fields. Good to see you, family. Thank you for joining us. The Tide of Redo, big ups to your family as well. So let's get into this episode of TSC Unleashed. We'll start it off by talking about the Patriots and the Jets. By all intents and purposes, if you watch this game, should have won this game. They did more than enough to win this game. But when it came down to the fourth quarter and holding the lead, they couldn't. They gave up 13 points in the fourth quarter. Patriots win the game. Giving up 13 points, they lose 30-27, and they drop to 0-9, 0-5 at home. They just absolutely horrible because they don't know how to close out the games, and they anticipate wrong things happening to them in the games. You got to own that point. You got to own that moment. You got to understand the whole team concept meant to be that we're going to take care of business, and they haven't learned that yet. Cam Newton, 27-35. He threw no touchdowns, no interceptions. He wasn't sacked. Had a QBR rating of 90.1. Damian Harris was a top rusher, 14 carries for 71 yards. Rex Burkhead, 12 carries, 56 yards in the score. Jacoby Myers was their top threat. He 12 catches off of 14 targets, 169 yards in the matchup against him. Going to the other side, Joey Flacco came in and actually played pretty well. 18-25 for 262, averaged 10.5 yards per throw, had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked once, but his QBR rating was not bad. 97.0 veteran, 12 carries for 46 yards. Breshad Perriman, 5 catches for 101 and 2 scores off of 7 targets. Not bad for our former son. Y'all remember Perriman from back in the day. His son Breshad Perriman, former Raven guys with the Jets, he had a pretty decent game. Wasn't enough to help him as Cam Newton's Patriots climbed to 3-5 after struggling with a Jets team that's a little bit more scrappy than most. So that is, they're 0-9 in the trash and for Trevor sweepstakes, if you ask me. All right, let's move on to the next topic. The NFL owners approved playoff, and that means diversity measures. The NFL Network Commissioner Roger Goodell said Tuesday that the owners have voted to approve 2 measures. One, expanding to a 16-team system from 14 teams this season if future games are lost because of the C virus situation. If that happens, there will not be a reseeding of the playoffs. The vote was unanimous, so they're looking for it because there was another story that came out that's going on as an increase of cases is starting to occur. Now, incentives, the second measure was incentives to reward teams with draft pick compensation, 2 third-round picks if they develop coaches and executives of color. So another measure is to incentivize teams with draft picks if they develop coaches and executives of color. So that's a very unusual measure, but interesting. We'll see how that goes if they develop. So it sounds like more of an in-house thing, you know what I mean? That you have what they would call minority candidates that will be brung up through the ranks and developed to be eventual administrators. So, that's not a bad measure. Goodell made the announcement to reporters following a 2-hour virtual meeting among owners. Despite the proposal on expanded playoffs, he said the NFL remains committed to finish the season on the correct timeline. So we'll see how that shakes as well in this one. Teams that developed a minority assistant coach or executive who is hired for an open head coach or general manager position with another team will be awarded the picks at the end of the third round. So how about that? And if a team's the owners already have approved their plan in March to expand the postseason to 14 teams beginning with the 2020 season. That plan increased the number of wildcard teams per conference to 3, up from 2. So a lot of people feel that, listen, if you can put more teams in the playoffs is a positive thing, and they did that. So we'll see how that shakes going into the upcoming year. Other news items here to take account of, besides those 2 NFL items, is a little LSU football news. Of course, a big matchup between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the LSU Fighting Tigers, along with the Texas A&M Tennessee Volunteer games, have been postponed. Those games have been postponed due to virus concerns as the games result of C-19 testing depleting the Tigers and Aggies' available roster. This comes on the heels of Monday's decision to postpone the Auburn and Mississippi State game after the Bulldogs had similar issues with positive test results and subsequent contact tracing. All 3 games have been deemed postponements. Texas A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State are tentatively rescheduled for December 12th opening date. LSU already has a game rescheduled for that date against the Florida Gators. The SEC said in a statement that the opportunity to reschedule Alabama LSU game will need to be evaluated, and that the rescheduling of games on the remaining SEC schedule may include December 19 as a possible playing date. All of the 14 SEC athletic directors on Tuesday agreed that the conference should use December 19 as a makeup date for any team that had games postponed or aren't playing SEC title game that date. Arkansas athletic director also told people that the SEC's presidents and chancellors still have to approve the unanimous recommendation. Now, LSU has fallen below the 53 scholarship player threshold due to the positive C-19 test, contact tracing, and non-virus related injuries, according to the statement from LSU director Scott Woodard. Pointed there will be no football in Tiger Stadium this weekend, but we will always prioritize the health and wellness of our student athletes. We will continue to follow the league's protocols in order to safely and responsibly return to play. Now, Coach O said Monday, multiple players, including starters, will be unavailable. Some have tested positive, while the majority are out as a result of contact tracing, which means if you had a tested player, a player that was tested positive, and you had guys that was around him, those guys are also ineligible and subject to testing to find out where did it come from. That's what the tracing of it means, to find out what was the original start of the situation. So as a result, this is what's going on. Testing, he said, testing has left the program thin at quarterback, and a number of quarantined players, including starters on offense, defense, special teams, according to what was told by the SEC. So, Coach O'Dryan said Miles Brennan won't be available to play as he continues to deal with lower body injuries. LSU won the national championship, went undefeated last season, has gotten off to a rotten start this season, losing this most recent game to Auburn in a dissatisfying fashion. I am a LSU Fighting Tiger family member, and let me tell you, I am very unhappy with the way that LSU has played this season. Very distasteful, very sad. It was pathetic. But we also realized that with the C virus situation, that hopefully everybody is fine, and I'm pretty sure they will be moving forward. Okay, let's get into our last topic of discussion that I want to cover with the family members as well, and that's a little bit of boxing, man. To talk about Canelo Alvarez. That's right, Canelo Alvarez, who had lawsuits that was going against Golden Boy, that was led by Oscar De La Hoya, was released from his Golden Boy contract, and now he's a free agent. After days of negotiation, representatives from Alvarez and Golden Boy Promotions have reached an agreement to release the 4-time champion. According to Alvarez's manager and trainer, they confirmed the news in a statement that said Canelo Alvarez, who's a boxing sensation, one of the most popular boxers in the world right now, as it was saying from his camp, all this time we have been working very hard in the gym with a lot of responsibility and discipline to be a great physical shape and ready to fight this year, and we will be. A source told the papers that Salvador Rodriguez, that Alvarez, who's 53-1-2 with 36 knockouts, and his team are targeting a return to the ring December the 19th against IBF super middleweight titleist Caleb Plant, who's 20-0 with 12 knockouts, who fights for the PBC Premier Boxing Champions. The situation between the middleweight champion, Golden Boy, and DAZN has been sour since the battle between all parties spilled into court in September. Alvarez filed a lawsuit in federal court citing a breach of agreement on an 11-fight, $365 million deal signed in 2018. Subsequent mediation and situation between all parties failed, and then the suit was then refiled with a technical error. And of course, then Alvarez got his way. He was released from DAZN, and now he's a free agent again to be able to sign whoever he wants, whether that's PBC, whether that's Top Rank. He can go in any direction he is, as what a free agent can do. So I'd like to thank everybody. That'll do it for this episode of TSC Unleashed. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all you guys for going. I see you, Sat Scott, Okula McGee. Big ups to you and all the family members. Much love to you. Please hit the like button, and thank you for joining. I'll see you guys later on TSC Q&A live on Patreon, and we'll go over some more haters. And that's usually what we do. We have a hater skit, TSC Q&A. We'll go over the latest Saints news of the day on our Patreon channel. If you want to join, patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. Link is in the description section below. Feel free to join us later on today. So much love to you, family. Y'all be safe, and I'll see you later. Peace.